Hey everyone, the crypto market is still bleeding red right now. Total bloodbath. Everything's drowning in red. And look, we shouldn't be surprised, especially with Monday creeping up on us. What I'm really focused on at this moment is just making it through this brutal weekend and watching what happens when stocks kick off tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's going to be the moment of truth that shows us where this train is actually heading. Now, we've got to break down what's really happening in the crypto space. First question, what the heck actually went down, right? What sparked this wild crash on Friday? We did cover some of it already. We mentioned Trump coming out with those China tariff bombs, which definitely threw gasoline on the fire and sent the market into a panic spiral. Everyone started having flashbacks to earlier this year with all that tariff back and forth and trade war madness. But here's the thing. There's something else bubbling underneath all of this that's rubbing a lot of folks the wrong way. And yeah, I'm in that camp too. We've got to talk about it. Bitcoin is floating around 112K. Ethereum's sitting at about 3,800. XRP is still hanging out near $2.40. And when you pull up the weekly chart on crypto bubbles, we're still staring at those brutal reds everywhere. Sure, there are a couple of coins bucking the trend, but most of the market, deep red. We're talking XLM, HBAR, XRP, all those solid projects we're always hyping up. They're all getting hammered, down 19 to 20%. Some even worse. It's absolutely crazy to watch. Now, this recent market dump we just witnessed, it was literally the biggest sell-off in crypto history. Bigger than FTX, bigger than even COVID. Let that sink in for a second. Just to put this in perspective, remember back in 2020 when COVID slammed the markets? Everyone was writing crypto's obituary. They were convinced it was finished. People were losing their minds thinking this was it. The bubble finally popped just like the dot-com crash all over again. The fear was absolutely real, and you know what happened next? That was $1.2 billion in liquidations. FTX? Yeah, same nightmare, 1.6 billion wiped out. But Friday's bloodbath, we're talking $19.3 billion, people. I mean, wrap your head around that for a moment. That's 10 times bigger than FTX. Actually, more than 10 times. We're even surpassing the COVID crash here. Like, how is that even possible? Those liquidations just caused everything to come crashing down hard. And look, this is what happens when you dance with leverage. It's like a powder keg waiting to explode. The cascade effect is brutal. So I went through the data on Hyperliquid myself, and what I found is pretty shocking. We've got 1,010 traders who lost over $100,000 in a single day. Then 206 traders, they're sitting there looking at losses over $1 million in one day. But wait, it gets worse. 358 accounts completely obliterated straight to zero, wiped clean. And there's this one person had over $19 million sitting there, and now it's all gone. Poof! We're watching people lose 59 million, 35 million, 20 million, almost 2 million. The numbers are just mind-blowing. This is why I won't shut up about it. Leverage trading is like playing Russian roulette with your money. You're not asking if you'll get burned, you're asking when. This is why you stay far away from leverage. Period. Buy spot, hold your position. That's the entire playbook. Honestly, it's the only way to actually win in this game. Now let's talk about what this chaos unleashed. Pure fear spreading through the market. We crashed down to 31 on the fear gauge. That's the lowest reading we've recorded since April of this year. We're not quite at that extreme fear territory like April was, but we're pretty darn close at this point. The market is telling us something loud and clear. Traders are panicking. Everyone's asking themselves, what's coming next? What should we even expect? People can't figure out what really sparked this enormous crash. Yeah, sure, the tariff announcements are getting blamed. People are nodding and saying, okay, the trade war is ramping back up. Things are getting heated. But hold on. What if there's a much bigger picture here? What if this wasn't some random market event at all? That's right. This entire sell-off orchestrated. Somebody planned this. I'm going to walk you through exactly how, but hang tight for a second because there's some groundwork we need to cover first. Number one, Bitcoin. All right, so Bitcoin is chilling right around $112,000. Let me show you what the daily chart is doing right now. We are finally starting to build back momentum, which I have got to say feels amazing to watch. What I would really love to see happen is this smooth rounding curve that launches us higher. If we can actually punch through and reclaim that $120,000 mark, that would be absolutely huge for us. The thing is, though, we need to give this just a little more time to really lock in that this bottom on Bitcoin is legit. Flipping over to Ethereum now, again, Ethereum is actually looking pretty decent right now too, but listen, we have got quite a bit of ground to cover still. Getting back over $4,000 would be an awesome starting point for us. After we nail that, then we start hunting down some of these other crucial levels we need to break through on this chart. And then you have got XRP over here, still holding up nicely on both the daily and the 7-day view. We need just a touch more work before we can celebrate here. But here is what I am seeing. XRP has been printing lower time frame structure with bullish divergence, which is basically screaming at us that XRP probably did hit its bottom on this last drop. And we should start climbing back over $2.50 pretty soon, and then target that $2.70 level, which would be a really excellent first step toward a way stronger recovery ahead. Now, zooming into Bitcoin, this is the exact setup I have been watching on the daily time frame for Bitcoin. So look at the RSI here. It is finally starting to build this gorgeous uptrend ever since we hit that September 25th bottom. We are actually forming some legit support riding along this trend line. I really hope this holds strong and keeps pushing forward. Let me scoot this first line up just a hair. What I am really hoping to see next is us smashing back through that high from September 24th and 25th, which lands right at about $113,400. After we turn that level green, then I want to see us power through $115,400 and then ultimately break those highs hanging around $117,600. This would also mean reclaiming support that stretches all the way back to July. Once we successfully conquer these three major levels, we should be marching straight toward $120,000 again. And that should trigger a much stronger recovery wave on this whole chart. But here's the deal right now. We really need to zero in on how markets kick off tomorrow morning. The S&P is going to be absolutely critical in my opinion. My honest feeling is we could experience just a touch more pain before things truly start reversing upward. So I would mentally prepare for maybe a little more downside before we witness that explosive bounce everyone is waiting for. Now, just like I said before, this recent dump was totally expected. So check out this example. This comes from Vivek Sen. Someone literally opened a huge Bitcoin short position just 30 minutes before Trump announced his tariffs and then closed it with a whopping $88 million profit. And they created this account the same day. Now, this is something we seriously need to zoom in on because what this is basically telling us is that someone was tipped off. Someone definitely knew this announcement was coming before the rest of the world did. Bull Theory actually put together a fantastic thread breaking this whole thing down. Trump just caused the biggest crypto meltdown we have witnessed. Now, some people will say it was Trump. Other people will point fingers at China. But honestly, it does not really matter who takes the blame here. And if you ask me, I think it was a coordinated effort between multiple players. This whole thing was mapped out ahead of time. Here is how it all unfolded. A full 2 days before Trump hit send on that Truth Social post, one of the oldest Bitcoin wallets out there suddenly started stacking massive short positions on both Bitcoin and Ethereum, worth literal billions. No warning signs, no breaking news. Just quiet strategic moves happening right there on the blockchain. Trump drops a post saying China's about to get hit with some serious tariffs. Classic trade war talk, right? Markets saw it, flinched a little, dipped slightly. A bit of turbulence, sure, but nothing crazy. Yet. Because what happened next? That's when things got wild. Trump walks up to the White House podium and drops the bomb. 100% tariffs on everything coming from China, starting November 1st. Nobody saw that coming. Literally nobody had that on their radar. And boom, instant pandemonium. The S&P 500 tanked over 2% in one day, the worst nosedive we've seen since back in April. Bitcoin crashed down to $120,000, wiping out weeks worth of climbing, Every altcoin just melted. We're talking 70 to 90% drops in minutes flat. Liquidations, over 20 to 22 billion dollars gone, though the real damage probably hit 40 to 50 billion dollars or more when you count everything. Nearly $1 trillion in crypto market value just vanished in under 3 hours. But wait, here's the sketchy part. 30 minutes before Trump even made that official announcement, that whale we mentioned, they doubled down on their short position. So when everything crashed and burned, those positions closed out. Profit around $200 million. The timing was so suspiciously perfect, you can't just wave it away. I mean, come on, was that luck or did somebody have a heads up on what was coming? Because moments after that, it wasn't just regular traders eating losses. Something way bigger seemed to explode, like a massive institution or trading desk just got absolutely demolished. The way these major altcoins collapsed, that wasn't normal market behavior. It felt like forced liquidation, like someone had no choice but to dump everything simultaneously. Liquidations rippled through every exchange like dominoes. USDE even broke its peg, sliding 35 to 40%. This wasn't mom and pop investors hitting the sell button. This was an industrial scale deleveraging event. But step back and consider the bigger context. Every bull cycle experiences one of these brutal reset moments that flushes out excessive leverage and shakes out the fragile positions. March 2020 delivered one. Mid 2023 brought another. October 2025 just claimed its spot in that lineup. And what historical patterns show us is striking. These violent corrections don't terminate bull markets. They actually reinitiate them. Why? Because at this moment, all that dangerous over-leveraging just got completely erased from the system. Shorts got stretched way too thin. Meanwhile, the smart money's over here quietly filling their bags while paper hands are dumping everything. Trump drops a tariff bomb and boom, markets take a dive. But hold on, because what comes after this is where things get spicy. The market just wiped out months of froth in literally one sweep. When the smoke clears, this is your launch pad for the next bull run. Sure, every news outlet is yelling crash at the top of their lungs, but pull the camera back. The foundation's still solid. We just got a hard reset. Whales already grabbed their slice of the pie. Retail's losing their minds right now. And you know what the playbook says? That's your signal. The next wave is about to roll in. Count me in on that take. But yo, the absolutely bonkers part here, this whole thing was mapped out from day one. Nobody just stumbles into perfect timing like that and cashes out 200 million plus while everything's burning. Half the leverage platforms people actually use were straight up broken during this madness. This was a much bigger whale in the game, and every single move was mapped out from the very beginning. Zero headlines, zero official announcements, absolutely nothing. But guess who already had the inside scoop? The whales, that's who. That should tell you everything right there. Now check this out. We're looking at an absolutely violent recovery. This is literally laying the groundwork for a rocket ship trajectory starting from this exact point forward. What's it actually going to look like though? Well, that completely depends on what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow is where all eyes need to be. If stocks crack open with positive momentum and we keep climbing higher and we punch through to a brand new all-time high, then the bottom is officially in and we're going straight to the moon across every market. But the whole thing is tied to whatever China and the US decide to pull next. Because we've got breaking information coming from the Kabise letter right now. Just in, China looks like they're walking back their aggressive stance on those rare earth export restrictions. China's now clarifying point number one. This recent policy shift is definitely not a total export ban. Second point, if your application checks all the regulatory boxes, you're getting approved. Third, they're actually down to sit at the table and hash this out for real. Fourth point, they're saying they want the whole global supply chain and industrial ecosystem to stay rock solid. Fifth, they're claiming the real-world damage from these export controls is barely noticeable. Sixth, they're framing this whole thing as a protective countermove they had no choice but to make. Oh, and China's tossing out one more thing. If the US keeps jacking up those tariffs, don't think for a second they won't fire back. Now, if President Trump posts something to dial down the tension on Sunday, meaning today, Monday's market open could be absolutely nuclear. The sensitivity of markets to whatever Trump tweets or posts right now is off the charts. things are becoming clearer by the minute. So yeah, if we watch this entire drama start cooling off before Monday morning bells ring, stocks could shoot up like crazy. Bitcoin could go parabolic too. We might see it smash through all three resistance zones in one giant green candle, the exact mirror image of that brutal crash we just witnessed. And this could trigger some massive recoveries in those old school coins like XRP. We're talking serious violent bounces across the entire market. But look, everything really hinges on how today plays out and what happens when stocks open Monday morning. I'm keeping my eyes glued to this, but here's what I actually think. This whole thing was orchestrated from the start. Bull theory is spot on with this one. There's just no possible way this wasn't planned out ahead of time. This is pure market manipulation, plain and simple. They wanted to flush out the weak hands and completely reset everything. And guess what? That's exactly what happened. So when you compare this to the S&P, just look at the RSI on this chart. It's absolutely wild watching this reset unfold right in front of us. This type of setup usually means we're gearing up for a massive bounce and an insane push upward, leading to that huge blow off top we've seen before. Remember March through 2021, or even look at 2023, same pattern, same explosive moves. So my expectation here, we're about to see a massive push upward. And what's really interesting is this will probably line up perfectly with a wave 5 structure forming across all the charts. That's when alt season kicks into high gear and we eventually hit the cycle top. All right, guys, that's what I've got for you today. I really hope you found this breakdown helpful and got some value out of it. If you did, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you never miss the free content I'm putting out. Appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.